Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com. Today I'm going to show you a negative die cut technique that I used on this card. As you can see, you've got a couple different things jumping out at you. You've got the bold letters of the negative die cut. You've also got this great sentiment of the white popping out and this beautiful paper. This beautiful paper is from the Garden Lane Designer Series paper, and it comes in 12 by 12 sheets. I have them cut down so that they're easier to work with when I'm doing videos, and I also use them in my paper shares. And if you got my paper shares this year, I noticed that I missed one of the colors on my label because this Garden Lane DSP has every color of green that we have. Garden green, mint macaron, pear pizzazz, soft seafoam. And it also has mossy meadow, but I don't have that on my label. And then you've got a neutral color of white that pairs beautifully on your cards, and the white that peeks through the designer paper. I love this paper. Look at all these beautiful, beautiful patterns. It can be used for so many different things. Ooh, that's a pretty pattern there. Ooh, I like that. Okay, so looking at our stamp sets that we used on here, it's the Praiseworthy Prose bundle that has the stamp set with these great definitions: grateful, celebrate, family, bundle of joy, way to go, cheerful, friendship. Covers so many different occasions, and then you can get it bundled at a 10% savings with the hand-lettered prose dies. And those dies come with a bunch of symbols like the exclamation point, question point, the exclamation point, the question mark, the hashtag, and it also comes with all 26 letters of the alphabet. I divided mine up in little plastic bags so I didn't have to go through all 26 of them each time I'm looking for my my stamps. Just a little tip there, looking for my dies there. So the hand-lettered prose dies with the Praiseworthy Prose stamp set, and we're gonna get looking at the materials I used. You can always go to my blog, CindyLeeBDesigns.com, and you can look under the search bar underneath my photo on the right side, and you can search for the stamp set, Praiseworthy Prose, or the dies, hand-lettered dies, or the technique I'm using, which is the negative die cut. And you'll be able to be linked right directly to this card. You can find all the measurements, all the products. You can be sent directly to my online store that you can shop 24/7. And so that's where you get all that info there, CindyLeeBDesigns.com. Subscribe to my blog and you will get notification every Wednesday when I do a YouTube video. So looking at this card, you can see I picked Garden Green as my card base. And that card base is just a half sheet of our cardstock, and it's 8.5 by 5.5, and then I scored it at 4 1/4. And so the inside of the card is just going to be a 4" by 5 1/4. And when you do that, you have a nice 1/8 inch border all around the sides of your card. And then I had a little strip here left over when I cut my paper, and it was 4 inches and then 3/4. And that just kind of added a nice little touch to the inside. So when I first made this card, my idea, because I was inspired by this card in the annual catalog on page 9, where it shows the Praiseworthy Prose. Don't you just love how all the bundles are in the beginning of the catalog? So much easier to look it up when you're trying to find something. So page 9, you see this card, and I really like the leaves and the sentiment and the way it was set up. But I started playing around, and I used only die cutting out my letters from my DSP, and I found it was needed a little more height to it. So what I did is I cut my DSP, which was 5 1/4 by 4 inches. Then I cut a piece of the same color of the card base so that if it peeked through, it would blend in. And I just cut it a smidgen, a little bit smaller, as you can see here. It's just a little bit smaller than the Designer Series paper. So what I did is I went ahead and put adhesive, used my snail, and I did use snail, and I was very generous because I'm going to be wanting it to stay together. You could use glue, definitely could use glue, but sometimes when I use glue, I get a little too much on there. So you're just going to put that piece of cardstock that's just a little bit smaller. You just want to make sure you can see a little bit of Designer Series peeking around the whole edge. And if you get it off a little bit, just pull it back and snip it. But it's nice to have the stability of the cardstock there. Now, to keep these letters nice and straight, what I did is I took the letters and I used my grid paper here, And I just found a horizon line. Now I'm going to, I noticed that I have some green poking through there from the last time I used that there. So what I did is I just lined up my letters. First of all, I knew that the letters were going to fit across here. So, you know, make sure your paper is big enough. And I knew that the thank you was going to fit. And then I just lined up the letters along a horizon line. So you can see I'm using this black line on my grid paper. You could draw a line, you could use a ruler, but you just want to see that all your letters are going, that are straight. I got a lot of static electricity or something sticking, having my hands sticking to everything. Get your ends straight. Stay there. It's sometimes frustrating whenever you're trying to get something to stay where you want it to. Use your poker. Okay, and then the thank. I think I'm going to make him stand a little. These are a really nice whimsical font, so it's not perfectly symmetrical. So just get your thanks so that it looks like straight to you. And then I use some purple craft tape that's not, it's kind of like painter's tape, but they are marketing it, I guess, as purple craft tape. And you're just going to put that craft tape over your letters, okay? Now your letters are going to stay together. So we just pull those up. That's going to be our thank, and then I'm going to put the U and line up the Y, O, U. Okie doke, and then get another piece of this craft tape. This you can get on a lot of different craft sites, but also on Amazon. So there we go, and then we're just going to pull up that one. So we've got our two words that we're going to use, and now I'm going to pull over my designer series paper. And the neat thing about this paper is it's symmetrical, so it made it a lot easier to put it on. So I'm just going to see that I have about the same amount on each side, but you really want to be careful with this one because you got to get that Y onto there. So probably get the Y on there, and then you can move this a little bit. And there we go. And then that's going to keep that in place here. And remember, we've got designer series paper and cardstock under there. Now I'm going to bring my Big Shot up here, show you how I'm going to run this through. Of course, this is not an easy task here. So I'm going to pull my Big Shot through. You could use your thin plate adapter on this, and I would be if I had brought that over here, but I just picked up the magnetic platform, and I'm just rolling it through, rolling it back through. Since we're working with a designer series paper, it's thinner, but we are using 2 layers, so I just want to head and I always tell my girls, before you remove anything, just make sure it all went through, and you can see we've got a good complete die cut there. So let's get Mr. Big Bulky out of here, straighten up our little work surface here, and then you can see we have our letters. So then we're just going to carefully pull off, because you really do have to be careful with designer series paper because it is a little bit thinner. So you can use Post-it notes are really well, little Post-it, those little arrows, they're not as sticky, but on this one you kind of needed to have something that was going to go the whole way. Now you want to be careful to keep these pieces, so when you're pulling these out, you're going to have some of the A, the K, the Y, the O. Do not throw those out, okay? And actually, don't actually remove the tape. That was a dumb thing for me, because if you leave the tape in place and you get this whole thing pulled up, then you don't have to actually line it up again, and you can make a lot of different cards. So don't do what I did. Just like my mom says, don't do as I do as I said. So like this is the better way to do it. Just pull the whole letter off, because then you don't have to line it up again, and you can just go make massive amounts of cards. But you'll notice you do have this O. You're going to need this O piece. You're going to need both layers of the A and both layers of the K. So now we're just going to look here. We're going to take these off, and you can use those again on another card. Of course you can. And where's my little poker? So I'm going to pull those out. So I've got can make another card, because I'm going to have these letters that come out. So let's get that guy out of there. And we know we're going to need this A. So I'm going to set it aside. And this is the key part for this card. The hardest thing you have to do is you have to make sure that you do not lose those pieces. Why? Now you'll see on that sample card, they did not, they didn't put those little pieces back in, but I don't like it that way. I always like to put back in those cutout places. So we got the N and the K, and you can see you're going to make a great another card with that. And you won't have to worry about that piece, because it's you're going to be using the actual die cut. So just be, careful there. We're going to need this Y. So, ooh, it did not pop out perfectly. Oh yeah, it did. It's just a little easier pulling it out this way. Okay, so that's going to be there. So we got the Y, O, U, and some of those pieces ended up staying in here. So just I actually might pull this aside just for the sake of the video here, because I can get it out a lot faster, and get the pieces for the O. And there we go. So I'm going to set these aside. I did get little metal containers to keep my dies in, so that, okay, so we've got the A is going to fit in here. We've got the O. We've got the Y. Oh, the K. Oops, see, I almost missed that little piece of the K. So I want to get that little piece of the K out of there. Okay, did I get it out? Okay, there we go. Whenever you put the adhesive on the cardstock, it probably caught the pieces there. But if it didn't, like here on the A, you just put a little bit of glue on there, and then you can put your, I'm going to grab my little tweezers here. You can put the designer paper onto that piece for the A. Oh, I almost thought I lost those pieces. So that's going to be my A. This is going to be on my O. This is my Y and my K. Okay, so let's just put these pieces aside here, because the way I put it onto the card base. Now let's put our letters. I'm going to slide those off our work surface right there. The way I'm going to put it onto here, because I really want it to be adhered well, I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on here. I'm just going to make some, and I'm going to go into the little spaces here, get it right around that. And you'll see I'm just kind of getting into that. I'm not using big globs of glue. I'm just using some little lines here. And I'm just going around the letters so that we get a really good adherence to the paper. Looks like I got it. I want to make sure I got the whole way around the corners. Okay, so then we're just going to pop that onto the card base. There, a little paper here so don't go flying on the floor. So then, and I wish I hadn't used my other piece of die cut to show you that it really looks a lot more depth using the piece of cardstock underneath it, underneath the designer series paper. And then you can look and see if any of these pieces, like the designer, but I really gave a good adhesive base of this, so everything's sticking down. But if you didn't get it, you might have some of these pulling up. All you do is tuck a little bit of your Tombow adhesive multi-purpose glue in there, and you'll be good. So now let's put these little guys in here, okay? And if you're wondering, like, what does it look like, just go back and look at your die and say, oh, okay, it, you know, that's the way it goes back into the A. So we're going to stick the A back in there. There we go. We're going to stick our A back in, and then we're going to put in, I'm going to do the Y now, just because I picked that one up. And that goes in here. Or that one. And then here is our O. Put a little bit of glue on the inside of the O there. I just think it gives a, like, a cuter, now let's see, did it go this way? I think it went this way. Okay, there's our O. And it goes pretty directly over there. The O's as I said before, this is a really fun, trendy font that I guess hand lettered, kind of just like hand lettered. Okay, so then let's put our K in there. There we go. We've got all the letters. So there's the hard part done. So then I just took and I stamped Grateful. I had cut out a piece of rectangle and actually cut it with scissors. I mean, your paper cutter. This actually isn't a Stampin' Up die, but it was something I had around my house. So I used it. So I put some dimensionals behind it, and you can see I recycled a piece of something else I had used, and thankfully it was thick Whisper White, and you can't see the thank coming through there. So then I just put that down in the corner where you can still see the word you. And I just put that down there, just like they did in the card in the catalog on page 9. And then I did a few garden green leaves on the mint macaron, and then I just used my leaf punch. Oh, thank you for this leaf punch. And I love that it works with the Painted Harvest. It works just by itself. It works with this new Floral Essence. Get it in there. Okay, pop it out. Might not have got it perfect since I'm at a weird angle doing a video. And then I just put a little bit of adhesive using the glue here because I'm going to slide it around a little bit. Okay, put a little bit up here. And then I just put a leaf right on, and I kind of let this leaf go a little bit onto the, and then I notice that I'm going to get my snips here and snip off a little bit because it's hitting the dimensional. And so I just put a leaf there. And then on this one, because the O and the U are there, you kind of have to take and rip off a piece of the leaf there. And then just use these other two leaves. Let's see here. My finger. There we go. And then we've got, there we go. We've got a simple card there. And on the inside, we're just going to put our Whisper White. And since I have this glue out, I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue on here. And we will adhere that to the edge of the Whisper White inside. Lift it up, look on the back. And you'll see we've got that on there. And then I'll use my snail because I don't like glue squiggle marks on the inside of my card. So we're going to put that onto the inside of the card. And I love it that let me move this over a little bit. This is a little bit crooked here. Whoop, that glue, there we go. Then we'll just put and line up the inside. I usually look to the left and the right and the bottom. And then if it's a little bit more up there, I don't care. So, and it's nice that this designer paper went this way and this way. Sometimes when you cut and you have that extra strip, it's going the opposite way. But on this card, it worked out wonderfully. So you can make this really super simple card. And if you don't Like I started peeling up because I wanted to show you the pieces in here. But once you put those letters down and get them straight and you put your tape on them, I had tape on these for making like 7 or 10 different cards. I just kept using the same tape. So if you keep the tape on while you're making the card, but I happen to forget about that. But you can easily make this card using those praiseworthy prose. Just think about a real pretty paper here and putting the word baby and then using bundle of joy or family. So these praiseworthy prose with the hand lettered prose dies gives you a nice opportunity to use the negative. But then, like I said, you have all these letters that we popped out. So you can make another card that has the actual letters put on the front. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at 724-323-2296, or you can email me at cindyleeb@gmail.com. You can send me, also, you could text me a card if you end up doing a negative die cut. I would love to see it. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.